Hi, everybody. I'm here tonight to discuss this book, Safe People, to teach us how to determine whether or not we have people in our life that are unsafe. Now, I want to make this disclaimer just because there's someone in your life that may be unsafe, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to in your relationship with that person. So, let me go ahead and get into this. I'm going to give you an example from the book of what we do when we're looking for relationships, and this could be friendships or otherwise. I asked, what qualities do you look for? The answer went something like this: I want someone spiritual, godly, ambitious, fun to be with, and so on. They replied as I had expected. I know that these are not the issues that cause relationships to break apart. When I questioned the audience a bit further, asking them about character and relational issues, they were in the dark. We look at the outside or from a distance at people, but when we get closer to them, the book says that it's a nightmare or they're a nightmare. Why am I drawn or attracted to the wrong people? That last one right there, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. The thing is, we don't use what's called character discernment. And character discernment is being able to tell the sheep from the goat. We're going to call people that are the sheep, we're going to call those people safe people. Safe people are individuals who draw us closer to who God intends us to be. They are accepting, honest, and present. They help us bear good fruit. I like that last one, present, because a lot of times I hear people say that they're always the giver in the friendship or giver in the relationship. They're always there for everybody and nobody's ever there for them. That's a red flag. That's something that you need to definitely take a look at. So safe people help you get or help you move towards your destiny. Drains all the life out of you, just drains all the energy out of you. And by the time you're finished interacting with this person, you feel like you need to take a nap. That is not good. You want people around you that are going to give you energy, give you life, not drain all the life out of you. The problem is we don't know how to choose. We pick the wrong people, and some of us walk around with a big sign across our forehead that says 1-800-USE-ME. And it's not intentional to have that sign posted across your forehead, but people tend to gravitate to us because we're useful, we're helpful, we're loving, and we are all that. So of course everybody wants to be around you, but at the end of the day, they end up taking advantage a lot of the times. Nobody is relationally 100% safe. So we all have things in us that someone else may not necessarily like or may not necessarily flow with. But we have to learn how to identify those things and disconnect from behaviors and traits that promote dysfunction. Yeah, and nothing like a dysfunctional friendship or dysfunctional relationship, period. Consistently. So I'm going to read off some things. And if there's someone in your life that consistently does 5 or more of these things that I'm going to read off, you may need to rethink how you interact with that person or those people. If they have more than half of the things that I'm going to read off, you may want to walk away from the relationship or the friendship until that person does some self-care and becomes a safer person. Again, 5 or more, you may need to take a look at it. 12 or more, you may need to walk away. The person thinks they have it all together. Person is religious instead of spiritual. The person gets defensive when confronted. And reading the book, if you look at the whole book, they talk about confrontation. Confrontation is something that helps us. When someone confronts us with things that we may be doing that may not be right, that helps us. That pushes us forward. A lot of people try to avoid confrontation because they think it's a negative thing. But if confrontation is done right, it boosts you forward. It doesn't harm you. They're self-righteous. They're falsely humble. So they come up with this fake humility when they're really not humble at all. They rarely apologize or own up to anything. They avoid looking at themselves and their issues. They demand trust instead of earning it. So you may hear things like, I can't believe you don't trust me, when they've broken trust a million times. Unsafe. They don't admit fault. They'll say things like, I'm sorry you feel that way. It's not a genuine apology. They blame others. They work really hard to assign blame. Switching, blame shifting. So, you're talking about something that they did, and before you know it, you guys are having a conversation about you. They lie. They're manipulative. They're not honest about a myriad of things. Okay, they're stagnant with life. They have little signs of growth. They avoid closeness. They're only concerned with the I rather than the we. They resist freedom associated with healthy boundaries. They don't like you telling them no, and often violate your boundaries. Only flatter and never confront, or only confront and never flatter. So basically, if you have to have people that will respect your boundaries. If someone keeps crossing the line, of boundaries that you set, not safe. Okay, there's no balance between flattery and confrontation. You have to either flatter the person or you have to confront the person. You can't do both. Okay, the next one, they condemn us instead of showing grace and forgiveness. You say, you're in a conversation with them, and you may say, well, what is this or what is that? And their comeback is, you didn't know that? Kind of like trying to make you feel like you're stupid or less than, or, weak. It's, almost like they're trying to make you feel beneath what they are for not knowing something or not doing something. They don't treat you as an equal. They want to parent you. So it's like, they want you to be, or they treat you or talk to you like you're a child. They're unstable, or they have seasons of instability. If they're chronically unstable, red flag. They're a negative influence. You often feel guilty. You often feel like you've done or may have done, said, or thought things that you're not proud of. Red flag. That's a big one. If someone is a negative influence on you, you really want to check that out. They talk behind other people's backs. Now, this for me is a big one. And I'm a firm believer. If you talk about everybody behind their back, if you tell me everybody else's business, yeah, I ain't special. I don't think I'm that special that you don't do the same to me when you're with them. So if someone is always like sharing information with you that maybe like that they probably shouldn't be sharing, or talking about their other friends negatively, red flag. They're probably doing the same about you when you're not around. They always disagree with you. Habitual contrarians. So they always have to be contrary to what is said. If you want to go left, they want to go right. If you say it's red, they say it's blue. There's really no valid reason why they should be disagreeing with you on a topic, but they tend to just be like, no, it's this or it's that. Always opposite of what you say. They have no idea how to validate feelings, experiences, or pain when it's not theirs. So you may hear things like, why do you get so emotional all the time? Or why are you so emotional about this situation? It ain't that deep. Or, man, just move on. Get over it. Yeah, they're not honoring your feelings. They're not validating how you feel. They have poor communication habits. And they make a lot of assumptions, and they usually end up offended. So when this happens, you shouldn't try to defend yourself. because it's hard to defend yourself against made up accusations. So if this is only going on in this person's head, you'll never be able to successfully defend yourself. So it's not even worth like arguing back and forth with the person. Don't be so focused on what you see on the outside of the person. Get to know a little bit about them before you just allow them in your safe space. And it's hard because you may meet somebody and everything may be flowing and you just clicked when we met. That doesn't necessarily mean that that person is meant to be in your safe space. How do you recognize safe people? The best example of what a safe person look like is our example that we have in Christ. We find 3 qualities of a safe person: dwelling, grace, and truth. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us for a while. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. That was John 1:14. Okay, dwelling refers to someone's ability to connect with us. The Greek word that is used here means to encamp or reside. The origin of this word has to do with the human body as a place where the spirit resides. So all that says is when the rubber meets the road, you know that this person has your back. When the rubber meets the road, you know that this person is with you. That I can't say it any simpler than that. Basically, you could dwell with them and be good. Not dwell as far as like in the physical, but someone that you don't have to worry about all those things on that list happening. They're able to connect with you, and you know that they got your back. Grace is the second safe quality that we find in Christ. Grace is unmerited favor. So this means that that person is on our side and they're for you. They're not jealous. They don't hate. If you celebrating, they're celebrating. If you're mourning, they're mourning. Grace implies unconditional love and acceptance with no condemnation. Relationships in which people shame or condemn ultimately are hurtful and do not produce growth. If you have to be different and change your character or be someone else when you're around a person, you need to let that go. If the person can't love and accept you for who you are, if you're that loud and crazy and wild friend, and when you get around them, you feel like you need to be quiet and reserved, or vice versa, that might not be the person for you if they're condemning you for who you are. Truth can imply a lot of things. Many people think that safe relationships are relationships that give grace without confrontation. So basically, if you're giving grace without confrontation, that eventually is gonna become a problem. If you're always allowing grace and letting the person slide, oh, that's just how this person is, that's just who they are, over and over again without ever saying to them, look, that behavior is unacceptable. That's just how somebody is, or that's just how she is. I hear that a lot. Oh, that's just so-and-so, that's just how she is. She don't mean any harm. Well, whether they mean harm or not, they're causing harm. If they don't want to make change, then they're not really your friend at the end of the day. If they're doing something that's hurting you and you tell them and they don't want to do anything about it, yeah, you might want to check that. Yeah. You're not a trash reciprocal for somebody else's stuff. And don't let people just dump on you, and you never say anything. That's not good, because at the end of the day, all that stuff ends up weighing on you. And the friendship is not a healthy one anyway. You don't want somebody always patting you on the back. To say that you don't want people patting you on the back all the time sounds like an oxymoron, right? It sounds ridiculous. But you're in a good relationship with someone, they're not gonna always pat you on the back, because you're not always gonna be perfect. You know what I mean? So in friendships and relationships, and being honest, which is something that we talked about a lot, it's not gonna always be a pat on the back. You know, sometimes honestly, I'm gonna have to tell you your stuff stink. Honestly, you know what I mean. Honestly, I'm gonna have to tell you, look, you need to get yourself together. Honestly, and you may have to do the same for me. So at the end of the day, you know, we don't want someone that's always patting us on the back. And again, every time I say that, I feel like busting out laughing because today that's all you see. You know, people want everybody to tell them how wonderful they are and how great they are. And nobody wants to tell anybody, okay, look, your stuff is raggedy. I'm gonna need you to take a seat for a minute. You know, in a safe relationship, you can be present, you can connect on a deep level. So again, remember that none of that surface stuff. So if someone is accepting of you with all of your flaws and they're not condemning you, it does free you to feel like you can be yourself. If you are in a relationship or in a partnership with someone, there should be some growth over time. If you're just there and everybody's stagnant and nobody's growing, it's a dead relationship. Again, I hope this was helpful to someone. I hope that you see the signs in yourself first, or the signs in people that may be in your life. When you see things initially in a person, you need to accept those things. When you see red flags, when you first meet a person, yeah, those are things that you store in the back of your mind. And if it's repeated behavior, then you need to say, okay, this person has shown me who they are. I need to just run with that. Before you get involved and get emotionally attached, and then it's hard to let go. Accept those red flags in the beginning to avoid a lot of heartache in the end.